Welcome to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce here hosting, and tonight I'm joined by Darren Allen. How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Great. Where are you calling from?
From Richland, Washington.
Right. Well, welcome to the podcast. We start things out with how you ended up in Scotland. If there's any story behind getting your call or leading up to the mission, we want to know about that. Then we'll skip over and find out what you've been up to for the last nearly 20 years, and then we'll go back and reminisce. So start us out with how you ended up as a missionary in Scotland.
Sounds good. Well, it's more than 20 now. But if my math's right, getting old, I guess I forget things. But yeah, so nothing really special or anything with mine. I from what I remember, I just in the living room there with my direct family, and anxious, the unknown, always gets you a little bit, and so I remember opening it, and the classic Edinburgh that most people are probably saying, and I was pretty excited. I was actually quite convinced I was going to go either Spanish speaking or something like that, or Portuguese or something like that, because two of my brothers were South or Central America. My dad went to South America. So I had one brother that stayed stateside, and so I'm like, well, that's probably what's going to happen. So I didn't expect Scotland at all.
Yeah.
But
when we got called, I think 1 and 7 were going to Brazil. So that was kind of the expectation.
Yeah, I just kind of planning on it.
Yep.
But
so what was the timing of that?
Well, I left December 23rd, so I don't know if it was October, maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember what the day was. Probably 3 months before is my guess.
2003 though.
2003, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was circulated in December.
Yes. Yep. I remember I was leaving right before Christmas, and I was like, man, I hope I don't miss 3 Christmases. That would stink. Thankfully that didn't happen. I think visa prices had gone up or something, and so it was going to be the 28th and ended up being the 23rd. So, but not to jump ahead on that.
Well, yeah, jump ahead. Take us to that point. What you've been up to since you got home?
Well, so I got home 23rd, 24th, I think it was. Can't remember what the time change. I know I almost didn't make it home because there was too much weight with luggage, and they asked for volunteers, and I'm like, I'm not volunteering. It's been 2 years.
Oh, man.
Really kind, right? But they got things worked out. So yeah, I got home. Went off to BOU, Idaho. I think it was 2 weeks after that, so wasn't home long. One thing I never ended up doing was reporting on my mission. So I don't know how I escaped that. I to be honest, it didn't hurt my feelings, just because I don't enjoy getting in front of people. So but it probably would have been a neat experience. So I've never experienced that. I don't really know what that is, how that goes. But
yeah, wow.
But yeah, I went to BOU, Idaho. Let's see, I roomed with Trent Clausen. I think he talked about in his podcast, Trent, and there's a couple other guys that he knew from before the mission.
Yeah, he told us about you guys GQing.
Yeah. That guy, he cracks me up. Yeah, it was. I think that was good for me, just because that transition coming back it's different, right? And so not just coming home, but then I went straight to college, and so I think it was nice to have a familiar face, and then some other returned missionaries too. So it kind of helped I don't know. I think it helped kind of ease into life after the mission. But yeah, I went there, met my wife Tessa there, and kind of funny story is so her home teaching person, I can't remember what they called them. They had them kind of scheduled with different rooms or something. I can't remember exactly, but he was actually one of my friends at home. So he was a senior when I was a freshman in high school, and his brother is one of my good friends too. And so I met Tessa through him, funny enough. But what's even kind of more funny to the story is she's actually from Richland, so where we're at now. So had to go all the way over to Rexburg. So for those who don't know how far, that's like about a, I don't know, 10-hour drive from here. So I had to go all the way over there to meet her. So met her there. We got married, and then I transferred to University of Idaho. I was pursuing architecture at that time. I learned quickly that I'm more of a logical thinker, and so I was getting into some of the classes where they're just like, dream it up, just imagine it. I'm like, my brain doesn't work that way. I was always into computers before the mission, and for some reason, like on my mission, the last 6 or 4 months or kind of that time period, I'm like, man, is that what I should do? And kind of looked at some other options, and I don't know why I did that, because I when got a degree in computer engineering, so I wasted a few years, but it was fun. I got to kind of learn that aspect of building and design. So I mean, it was fun. But so then I changed degrees while I was at U of I and got my bachelor's there, and working now where I'm at. Had a couple internships there, and then I've been there for I think it's 10 years now. So been good. I've got, let's see, we've got 4 kids. So my oldest is in high school, which was crazy. So she's a freshman. Yeah, yeah, you're telling me. I still look in the mirror and I think to myself, you're not old enough to have kids. But so she's a freshman, and then the next one is Sydney. She's in 7th grade, so she's 13. Chloe's turning 15 in a couple months here. So there's Sydney, and then Grayson is he's 5th grade. He's actually just got the priesthood, so he's a deacon. That's another weird step in your life. If you have, for those that have boys for kids, it's another one that kind of makes you feel a little old. And then we've got Levi, who is 4. I think that's right. And he is a ball of energy. So he's running us ragged, but we love him. Got a good smile, and knows how to cheer you up, and even if you're mad at him, he just puts on that smile and just kind of melts that away. But yeah, so that's kind of how things are. We've moved around a bit with school, and but mainly just kind of been in the Tri-Cities area. I grew up in Burbank, which is just right outside of it, and Tessa moved to Richland when she was 12, and we really like the area, so we've got a lot of family around too, so that makes it nice. And for that,
that's great. I'm sure those 4 keep you pretty busy.
Well, got a visitor.
Speaking of,
come say hi real quick. You wave.
Hi.
Okay.
You can't hear me.
Nope, he can't. It's probably good to start talking to you.
Right on
there it
cue.
is.
Right on cue.
I called it, man. I called
You
it.
did. You did.
So,
That was perfect.
yeah, it shouldn't get any more interruptions now, I don't think.
All right. You
But
kid.
yeah,
Well,
that's kind of where we're at right now.
that's awesome. All right. Well, let's go back then. Start of the mission. You start at the MTC, and we'll just kind of walk through areas, companions, and whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. So this is rough. My journal, I apparently stopped writing into it halfway through the mission because that was a good idea. My memory isn't amazing, so we're just gonna see. I tried to jot down thoughts as I thought about this, and so I'll kind of reference that as I go through. But anyway, so let's see. Flew out of Pasco on the 23rd. I was by myself, which was strange. And then I think I went up to Spokane and then to Utah and then to Atlanta. Is kind of how it went. And I think it was at Atlanta is where I met up with missionaries. So I by myself. I remember it being close calls from plane to plane. I can't remember if in Utah I had to run to get to the gate, but I remember coming into Atlanta, and I hadn't been in a big airport before. I mean, Pasco's, I think there's 3 or 4 terminals on there. So, I mean, just give everybody an idea that it's a small airport. And so I remember in Atlanta and I was walking, I was like, oh, there's a train and an airport. You gotta be kidding me. So I'm like, I just had this feeling, you should probably get on this train. So I got on the train and good thing, because I remember getting off and they say last call. And so I,
Oh, wow.
and got on there. And I remember Trent came over and said hi. And then I'm pretty sure after a little bit, flight attendants that told me you need to go back to a seat or something. I feel like we might have had a couple others on there. I can't remember who. But yeah, so we came in, and let's see, took the ride up to the mission home there in Preston, or not the mission home, the MTC. We had a pretty decent sized group that was going to Scotland. I know, so we had Clausen and Bautista and Webb, Buckner. Who am I forgetting?
And Scott Jump.
Muirhead. Muirhead. Yep. Thank you.
And Sister Heap and Sister McGowan as well.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
I'm using open book here too. We've got a list of it. So
that's perfect, because I clearly couldn't remember.
It's a good group.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun. Let's see. So that was neat going there. Small group was kind of fun. I felt like it was, I don't know, I haven't been to a big MTC, right? So you can't really compare it, but felt like you could, there's, I don't know, like 6 to 8 of us maybe in a class. It felt like maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but and let's see, I had 2 companions. They were going to England. Other Sawyer, and oh man, I'm blanking his name right now. Let's see if it comes back. What I remember, I enjoyed them. They were fun guys. I remember the other one, not Elder Sawyer, but man, sorry if he listens to this. I remember he warned us. He says, "So just so you know, if you're gonna wake me up, I wake up swinging." And I was just like, "What?" So he was in the military, and people would bully him, right? And when he was sleeping, and so he naturally built the response of grabbing and swinging, And so I remember one time, I kind of just slowly came up and just tapped him on the shoulder and just booked it, and he reached and he almost got my hand. He was a really good guy, but you have experiences like that. But that I remember that. Let's see. I think they tried to do a Christmas dinner for us since we were there over Christmas. Um, I think it was okay. I think. Remember, I vaguely remember the cafeteria area. I remember we. I don't know whose idea it was, but we put grapes in the microwave and watched them spark. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, create a little plasma there.
And I remember getting chastised, I guess you could say, from a missionary. Can't remember what, elder kid or something. Maybe it was. I was singing a song, a little, not. He didn't feel like was giving it the respect it needed. So I remember him, and I felt really bad. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, remember that happening. Other than that, I mean, I remember the mission. I remember the teachers were pretty awesome. I can't remember their names. I remember the ginger, and then there's the other. I can't remember. I'm imagining them in my their faces.
Yeah,
and
I'm the same. I can picture them, but I don't know their names either.
Yeah, I just remember they were awesome. I remember being scared to death when we had to, teach, an investigator. I remember I was just like scared to death of that. I don't know. I guess that kind of went away by the end of the mission, but yeah. So then we headed up to the mission home. I remember the temple, Preston Temple. That was pretty neat. I can't remember who, but I'm pretty sure one of the missionaries ended up getting their endowments out there. So that was neat to be a part of that with them. And I think it was wet a lot. I feel like it was just always kind of cloudy and wet.
Winter in northern England.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's conditioning, right, for the mission there. But yeah, so then so headed to the mission home. I don't know how you could forget President Green's welcome you with a big hug, and just remember him. I mean, I'm a small guy, so and he's a tall guy, so he just kind of engulfed me. But
I'm a big guy, and I still felt that way.
So. Yeah, so just imagine how I felt.
Yeah.
He just, you could tell that he had a love for us, and he kind of always could feel that when you were talking. At least I could. Let's see. Then I don't remember much of the dinner or anything like that. I remember being up in the area where we would up above the garage or whatever, where we'd have, you'd take the picture in front of the crest there and meet your trainer and stuff like that. So I had Chris Pattenden. Sorry, like my phone is now going crazy. Chris Pattenden and I think that was good for me, because he's English, and he at least kind of knew what was going on. I was clueless. I'd never left home before, so and I remember so we were serving in Sterling. I remember we walked from the bus station to our flat. I think Asda was right across the street. And then we're the top apartment, top flat there. So we walked up I'm pretty sure it was a spiral, kind of like, wasn't spiral, but there was
rounds a lot of stairs. Yeah.
A lot of stairs. Felt like you're just climbing. And got in there. And I remember setting my stuff there, and and I sit on the bed, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know. I don't know how to get anywhere. I don't know anything about about this country. I don't even know what to eat. Like, it's just, we're just sitting there thinking, wow, this is nerve wracking. And it was great. Where my bed was, I guess I got to put my hands up for the camera. Where my head was, there was this big hole, and I don't know if they just grabbed whatever tape they had, and so they just kind of taped it and covered it up. And then I had a wardrobe thing squeezed between my bed and my desk, so it wouldn't fall over. So I'm like, man, this is, I don't know. I might have even pulled the drawer out and the drawer fell out on the desk. I can't remember on that. But
If I remember that apartment right, it had a huge kitchen and a tiny bathroom, or a tiny shower. I guess the bathroom was regular size, but
it depends on when. So we ended up moving with Elder Dave, my next companion.
Okay, so
and
maybe
when did you
next
come?
one.
When did you come out?
I was the group after you.
Group after, okay.
Yeah.
So you might not have seen this one, because if I remember right, it had a long, skinny kitchen, and then the next room over was the living room, and it was a little bit bigger. It didn't have a big bathroom, but just kind of probably a normal and a little bathroom. I honestly can't remember the second apartment. Like, I racking my brain, I cannot remember what it looked like. I have the address, so I guess I could.
I just remember
I could just go.
I went there, and then afterwards, Pattenden told me, so maybe if you moved with a different companion, it wouldn't have been him in there all the time, but he must have gone on exchanges or something. He told me, he said, man, that shower's so small, you have to get wet, put soap on, and then get in so you can squeeze into the shower for Pattenden.
Yeah, you would think I would remember that one. I felt like, I don't know which apartment it was, but I'm pretty sure they were redoing the bathroom at some point. And so we didn't have a shower. And I remember I had pictures somewhere. And so I don't know how long we went without a shower. I don't know. Hopefully we didn't stink that bad. Hopefully it wasn't the summertime. But yeah, I remember we didn't have a shower for a bit, and that was kind of weird.
Stuff we put up as missionaries.
It's incredible. It's true. I mean, we closed out when we closed that apartment. I mean, it was trashed, and I remember the landlord wasn't very pleased, and like, it wasn't us was the thing. So we took the brunt of the landlord's like anger, and it's like, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll never see you again, probably. But yeah, so let's see. We were teaching Brian Quinn. I think he was like 19 or 21. He's kind of around. I think he had to have been 18 or 19, because I believe he ended up going on a mission. Cool kid, man. Really, real smart. Very interested. Loved to learn about the gospel. I remember teaching him, and sometimes I'd just sit on the floor. I don't know. He must have been just in his room or something that we would teach him. Can't remember that. Maybe Chris will. He gets on here. Love to hear from him.
Come on, Chris.
He's got to correct all the things that I'm wrong about. But let's see. I feel like I gotta pull up my notes to look at, because I know there's more than that. Oh yeah. We were, I don't know if we were GQing. No, we stopped at somebody's home. I don't know if we knocked on the door, if it was less active, or I can't remember. But I remember she turns to me and she says, "You look like you're 12 and you need to be home under the care of your mom," or something like that. And I'm just like, thank you. Thank you very much. And you know, I've always been told I look young for my age, and I'm told that that's a great thing. And I'm not sure yet when when that becomes a good thing, because then everybody thinks you're a lot younger than you are. But yeah, I remember that. I'm just like, sweet, thank you, glad to be here. um, but yeah, let's see what.
How
Oh
long were
yeah,
you with Pattenden?
so 6 weeks. That you'll find that almost all my companionships were 6 weeks. So I don't know if that means I was a problem and no one could handle me, or what. But yeah, six weeks with him. I do. So it's funny. I forgot this. This is why I have things to remember. So I remember I'd been out for um, I don't know, a few weeks it was, and um, I grew up in the church, and I always didn't have problems with what I believed and the testimony. And I remember there was a point where when I was with Pattenden, pretty sure it was with Pattenden, um, that I was like, I really need to know, if I'm gonna teach these people, I gotta know, or I can't, you can't really be um, genuine and sincere with it. You don't know for yourself, and you're teaching people. It's kind of seems weird.
Yeah.
And because like otherwise I need to go home. Um, and so I put Moroni's promise to the test, right? You study, and you do what you've been taught is right. And so I think it was a couple of weeks. I remember I came across it was like a little excerpt or something in, I think it was the Ensign or New Era or something like that, and talk about Moses and when he came up to the water there, and parted the sea. Before that, kind of like what was going through his mind, right? And he had a pretty strong desire, and that's you know his prayer was probably very, very sincere at that time. If putting yourself in his place, and I kind of, that really stuck with me. Um, and I've kind of seen that throughout my life, is when I really want to know something, it's important, and so you put in the effort, right? And so I did, and I put in the effort, and I remember um, teaching about Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon, and I remember just feeling the Spirit so strong then, and I'm like, this, okay, that's this
Yeah.
this is true. And now I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, not living off of somebody else's testimony. And that's been a turning point for my life. And I always look back at that experience, and and so that was one of the great things of the mission. There was that it really helped solidify what I believed. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I was with him for 6 weeks, and then he got transferred out. I can't remember where, and I got Elder Davis. Um, and I remember I was really nervous because I'd been there 6 weeks, and I was the one that was familiar with the area, and I figured he'd be depending on me at the start to kind of get us around. And um, I had a lot of fun with Elder Davis. I don't think I sent him home. No, I don't think I sent him home. Uh, he, um, I remember we he was like a great nephew of President Monson, and I remember he would tell me, he's like, I keep trying to get him to wear the mission tie for General Conference, and he's like, maybe he'll do it for this one. And so I would always look and see, and I didn't never see him do it, but it's kind of neat to hear his side of the story. we don't generally get to be around. Well, some people do. When you're far away, you don't generally get to interact with general authorities as much, and
Yeah.
um,
His
but
best friend was Kenton Carish, who
yes,
they went home. So I guess the 6 weeks after he was with you, that was his last 6 weeks, and Carish's, and I was with Carish that last 6 weeks. And yeah, looking through his address book was like the who's who of the church.
yeah,
Like, wow, man.
yeah, it was. But remember we did something. I'll admit it. I do weird stuff. I'm a weird kid. That's okay. I think that's what makes it easy to makes me a little more easygoing. I don't know, maybe not, but I remember we would like river dance off. I don't know why. I don't know who came up with it. It was the weirdest thing, but we I can't imagine the people that lived underneath us when we do that. But there was a time we came home to the flat one time for lunch, and the door was open, or the window was open, and I'm assuming it was Davis's idea. He says, "Okay, I'm going to tell you when somebody's out there, and you need to make a make a noise." And so okay. So he tells me, I yell out ostrich, ostrich, real loud. And kind of the story behind that is later in the day he had said, asked me, he's like, what does sound does an ostrich make? And I had no idea. So I just said ostrich, ostrich, or something like that. So he would kind of watch, and you imagine people do weird stuff, looking up there like, what the heck is going on? And then that night we thought it would be a great idea to use the intercom, and so when people would walk by, but then I think I would yell like yak or something, yak from Dumb and Dumber, the knowing. Anyways, and you get some people to laugh, and some people would like cross the road, and some people would just like run away. It's I don't know, the things you do when you're bored and you get two missionaries. That what else are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Couple teenagers, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
19, 20-year-olds. I mean, of course, we're going to do some weird stuff, but that when I think with that area, when Davis came, the sisters that were in Aldo, I think they closed that area technically and merged in with us. So with that, I think that there's the Priors family. They're Americans that were, I can't remember why they were there, but they had a younger family, and they're awesome. We had a good time with them. They spoiled us. I just remember going over there, and the younger kids, and just had a good time, and spending time there. Let's see. I feel like there was more. I got to look. Oh yeah, so we would feed. I think Davis had burnt some toast or something, and so he threw it out, and the pigeons were crazy in Scotland, and they would, they were eating it, so they're like, oh, let's put some Marmite on there. I don't think I ever tasted Marmite. Anyways, somebody's laughing at it. Um, anyway, so we tried that, and they ate it because we're like, I wonder if is this going to kill him, kind of deal, and so we did that. I don't think, no, that was a different time. That was with Elder Hare. Somehow we had, I don't know if it was like an air like little pistol or whatever, but somebody, sorry people, please don't be mad at me. We may have leaned against the wall and had the window open and shot at the pigeons. I don't know. I don't know what it was with those pigeons, but yeah. Anyways, like we ran it. I gotta look. We ran into a couple of people chapping. Maybe that was with Elder Hair. I'll get to that one in a minute. So remember Greg's?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh man. So I hadn't been out very long, and I was in there. We stopped to get some stuff. I got like these caramel things, and the lady looks up at me looked like she was looking up at me, and so I gave my order, and there's a lady behind me that says, "Hey, you jumped the queue." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" But you jumped the queue, and I had no idea what she's talking about. So as I would do, as I do when I get nervous, I kind of laugh, right? I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah." So I laughed in her face, and then I went out and I told Ella Davis, and he's like, "Yeah, that means you cut in line." I'm like, "Oh my gosh," I felt so bad, and probably like getting missionaries, but so there's that. Had some good Hamish. I'm trying to remember him. Hamish was I remember him being a cool guy. I can't remember like if we were teaching him, like if he was an investigator, if he was like a less active member, if he was a member. We'd go hang out with him a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah. So it was kind of cool to see when you would teach people what it could change their attitudes. We'd chat the door, came across this lady and asked her something along the lines of, what's the purpose of life or something like that. And she's like, to be miserable. And I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be a great one. Anyway, she invited us in and sat there and we talked about, purpose of life. And it was crazy because in the end, like her demeanor completely changed, and she invited us back. I don't remember what ended up happening with that, but there's always those who listen. It's cool to see them, see the impact that the gospel has on them. When the Spirit gets involved, it can change people, and so that was kind of a neat experience. I remember with him there. So I was with him for 6 weeks, and then I moved to East Kilbride with Elder Hare, and that was his last 6 weeks. He was a fun guy. It seemed like we hung out with a lot of members, and remember doing service at BHF, I think it was. But it was hard going there because we were finally starting to teach people in Stirling, in that area, in Alloa and stuff like that, and then I went there and there was just nothing, no teaching pool, and so that was a little rough. So we tried to find people. We remember we found a couple of people and we're teaching them, and one lady who's weird, man. You come across some weird people, and I think this is just normal anywhere. You come across some strange people, and I remember she, on the way out, she says, "Do you know what this is for?" And it was, it's one of the lever locks, latches up above for the door, and it's like, I go, "Yeah." And she says, so no one can come in and slit my throat. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even cross my mind. Like, okay. Should I be concerned? Has somebody tried to break in here before? And but can't remember. Yeah, it's that lady, and I don't. I'm trying to remember if. Let's see. Oh yeah, Tom Kane was the ward mission leader, and I'm pretty sure he was the one. He was an awesome ward mission leader. very involved. And I believe he was the one that he was really into Red Hot Chili Peppers. And so before I think Elder Hare went home, um, we just had like a jam session. He'd play it and sing it, and I was like, man, he'd sound like him too. And so that was fun. That was pretty neat. But he would take us around to previous investigators or less actives, and try and help us get in. Find people to teach. Uh, and why not those that were active at one point, and he had a relationship with them. I do remember I'd forgotten about it until I'd read in my journal. One time we were out chapping, and we finally got into this high rise. Didn't have those in Sterling, and so this was my first time in one. I mean, these things go way up there. I think we had a couple of previous investigators we were checking on, so we somehow got in there with somebody leaving the door open or something like that, and we'd been trying to get in there for a while. And we went to the one. I guess we went the wrong direction or something. But anyways, we'll go try the other one. So we get in the elevator, and instead of going up, it goes down. And we're like, oh great, we're gonna run into some dads or something. And doors open, and there's nobody there. So like, okay, good. And so then we go up, and as the doors open, and we're starting to walk out, and I was like, Elder Hare, I'm not feeling really good about this. And we came to the conclusion that, well, it's my first time in one, they're a little intimidating,
Yeah.
So like, okay, yeah, all right. So we kept going, and he went to knock on the door, and then he felt the same way. And we're like, okay, let's get out of here. And so, I mean, nothing happened. Who knows what would have happened, but that was an experience I'd forgotten about until I read about it. Is and we're watched out for, and so not sure what happened there. And I'm assuming we probably never tried to go back. But anyway, so I was with him for 6 weeks. And I was excited to get a new companion. I was like, man, we're just gonna kill it in this area. And they whitewashed the area, and I'm like, come on. So then I went to Canvas Ling, served with Elder Osmond there, and I think Trent talked about it. I think Brandon talked about it too. So we lived with a single lady, for Canvas Ling, for that Canvas Ling area, because I think there was two, Canvas Ling 1 and 2. And I think we were in 1. Marlene McFarland, and she was awesome. I mean, she spoiled us rotten. But it was weird because, I mean, we had our own bedroom, but we shared a bathroom, we shared the kitchen, we shared the living room, and just a one story flat. And so, like, looking back at it, I'm like, I didn't realize how unique that is. And I remember sometimes like, hey, Darren, I can't get my printer to work. Can you help me? And so I guess she had an IT guy there or something to help with that. But I remember she came and visited my parents. She liked to come to the States, and she'd come with empty suitcases and go back with full ones. I remember she came and stayed with my parents for a couple weeks. So that was neat, because she came back and brought some videos and pictures and stuff of family. So that was fun. But yeah, so Brandon was already there, and we're teaching Margaret Crichton. Yeah, Crichton, and sweet lady, and she was awesome. She ended up getting baptized there while I was there. I can't remember if Brandon came back, if he had left at that point. And I was in Glasgow area like most of my mission, minus the office. Dundee, was up in Dundee a little bit, but I was in Glasgow a lot, and that was rough. Different experience, I think. I always wanted to go up north, the Highlands, and experience that. I never got to. Maybe that was a good thing. I don't know. Maybe I would have gotten homesick or something. I don't know. But yeah, had a good time. I enjoyed all my companions. Brandon was fun. We were very similar, I think. We just had a good time. I think that helped us be successful too in finding people to teach. I think there's Donald Gilchrist. I think we knocked into his door, or it was a referral. Awesome guy. He had some things he was dealing with, and had some humble circumstances and things like that. But I remember teaching him and helping him to pray and things like that, and just feeling the spirit as you taught. It was real neat. He did end up getting baptized. That was awesome guy. I'm not very good at staying in contact with people, and unfortunately, I didn't with people on the mission too, and so I don't know how people are doing, but hopefully he's doing good. Let's see, and then I think what else? Oh yeah, we had this like statue thing. I don't know where we got it from, and so we decided to, it was going to be the thing that would stay in the flat, and so each missionary would sign it or whatever. So we were the first ones. I think we called it the almond for Alan and Osmond, and so I remember we had that. I don't know, we always would hear Ned's late at night singing and keeping us awake, and yelling and screaming. Classic experience there. See if what else I had on. But I had a couple other things that I. Oh yeah, he like, you remember those red pens, real short pens that you'd always find on the ground. I think they were bedding pens. He would collect them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah, I like. So we were always collecting those things. I don't know. I'm assuming he probably threw them away at the end. I'm not sure. But had a great time with him. So I was with him for 6 weeks, and then and then I got Clausen. I think that's right. I think I had Osmond and then Clausen. So had Trent. Had a great time. Trent, as those who have met him, a whole lot of energy and very excited. And then you got me that's a lot more mellow. So it kind of worked out good. I don't know. Maybe there are times that he's like, dude, Elder Allen, come on, man. let's go. I mean, I got short legs and he walks fast, and so it was always a lot to keep up with him. And I don't remember. Oh, jumping back, I think with Osmond, that was the first time I got truly drenched. No, maybe that was with Pattenden. I think it was with Osmond though. I remember like even my socks were soaked, and that was just from coming from the bus stop to our apartment. And it's just dumping. It was dumping, and I had the trench coat because that's what they told you wanted, right? I'm like, why would you have a trench coat? You need something with a hood.
Weighs 200 pounds when it gets wet, and
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's warm, but yeah. So I got rid of that pretty quickly and got a better coat with a hood and stuff. But remember that. But anyways, jumping back. I'm trying to think. So I'm pretty sure Trent was there for Donald. At some point, we were teaching the Watsons. I don't know if that was with Trent at the beginning. I think it was, and they might have been. I think they actually might have been. Well, I think we might have been teaching with Osmond too. I think they'd been kind of long-term investigators. Um, and it might have been with Osmond that we were like, okay, if they're not going to progress, we're going to drop them. And we went there, and it was Steve and Joan, I think was her name. Anyways, we got there, and they're like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And he's like, and we're talking for a bit, and he's all right. So for the reason you came here, and so he pulls out the Book of Mormon, and he's got this list of questions. And I'm like, what? So he asked us questions, and we answered them. And I think we were just teaching him at first, and eventually his Joan came in, and we started teaching her. They had 2 kids, teenagers, and I remember their daughter one time was talking to us, and she's like, "Yeah, I saw sister missionaries, and they didn't have horns." And I'm like, "You really thought that?" And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, people actually think that missionaries have horns and stuff. But yeah, I remember that. But Steve had some things that he was dealing with. Our teaching ended up kind of shifting towards Joan, and she ended up getting baptized, and she asked me to do it, and I'm a small guy, and she is bigger than me, but the problem was that she was like scared to death of water. I'm like, this is not going to go good. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to go completely under. And it's like, what? So it shows that she was committed. If, she's willing to do something she's scared of. And I remember, so we had President Thompson was the branch president, awesome guy. And I remember she kept having like a foot come up or something. And I think after like the 5th time, no joke, President Thompson says, "Yeah, I think we've covered her good enough. I think we'll be good." I'm like
Wow.
I felt so bad. I mean, she's scared of water. I just like, I don't know, couldn't make it happen. But yeah, I don't know if he ever ended up getting baptized. I believe he had passed away later on. But they were such an awesome family. Enjoyed going over there and talking with them. Let's see. With Trent, he talked about Steve. Told a lot better than I could have remembered. Hang out in random places. I couldn't believe that we could find him. People wouldn't steal him or something. But remember we had this group of girl Neds that would like come out at night and just start yelling and singing really loud. They're clearly drunk. And for those who ever watched Homestar Runner, that was kind of the thing. I remember coming out, and that had watched a lot of episodes, and so we would like, we called them the Ned Girl Squad or something like that, but we'd do it as Homestar, and we would just kind of sit at the window and kind of watch them and like kind of talk like Homestar Runner and Strong Bad and stuff, like they were out there talking. And I don't remember doing this, but I wrote in my journal, I guess one time we snuck out because we wanted to get a closer look what was going on, and we're like diving over hedges and stuff into the grass and rolling. I'm like, what? I don't know what the heck we were doing. It's probably I'm gonna blame Trent since he's already come on. He can't blame me. It's probably Trent's idea.
Probably.
But we had a lot of fun. I mean, we worked hard. GQing, for me, GQing was like super intimidating because I'm not really good like on the fly. I have to kind of process things and think. And so, I mean, there you're just like, boom, 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 and I get intimidated. I don't know if I ever grew out of that feeling, but I think was it Buchanan Street we would go to. I think a lot of missionaries would go there in those areas. So we sometimes run into other missionaries. I think there, but it was a really awesome GQing spot. I did that. I chapped a lot of doors, got wet. I I don't remember a whole lot of teaching opportunities. I I remember getting a letter from one of my buddies that went Central America area. I remember saying, "Yeah, we ran into this family, and they taught them the first lesson. They're gonna get baptized, and we got another family getting." And I'm like, "Dude, what's that like to teach like all the discussions?" So
Yeah.
uh, that was, it was a different experience, but it's good, right? It's good for us. Uh, and which that reminds me. So I know that at one point the question is, was preach my gospel. So I think I was out just that first 6 weeks, and then preach my gospel came out. I think it was the first 6 or 3 weeks, or 3 months.
Yeah. I think about that time we got like a paper copy of a chapter or something, and shortly thereafter the book.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah, and I remember I hadn't memorized all the discussions yet, so it hadn't been too long after I'd come out, which was great for me because memorizing is not definitely not my strong point. But I it was a little intimidating too because you don't have that set structure, and so it required you to uh, think on the spot, respond on the spot, and be adaptable and stuff like that. Um, but such an awesome thing. You can be uh, so much more personal. You can make it more personal for a person in that discussion, right? You don't have to stick
yeah.
to the script, and so I think definitely an inspired thing. And now you see, come follow me now, and how that is, and how that's it's definitely was awesome. I still look back at it from time to time, and I know they have a new one out. I still look at the old one from time to time. Um, it's awesome. That was awesome. Um, anyway, so let's see. Make sure I see if I missed any I was gonna mention with Clausen. I'm sure I've forgotten. Oh yeah. Um, we they had the branch had some sort of activity. I don't know if it was a ward one or what, or a branch one or what, and they rented this bouncy house in like this 10-foot tall cowboy inflatable, and so you'd get inside of it. So Trent, Trent was in it, and so I like would push him around and take him down because like you can't move in the thing, and so I'm sure I probably did it after I had gotten in it, so he couldn't retaliate. But I think he had even gotten in the bouncy house as this cowboy and jumping around, and that was that was the funnest time. We well, and so there was man, what's their name? Alan and Susan Thompson, I think it was, because I think maybe Thompson wasn't right, their last name, but I think they were. I think either he or she was related to President Thompson. Um, I could be wrong on that one, but really cool family. We would go and do service for them, and go paint. I think we met up with um, is either Elder Mortley and Elder Manini or Elder Webb and Elder Manini. who are in the other canvassing area. I can't remember for sure. I know Elder Manini was there. I'm pretty sure is Elder Webb too. And so we'd all go over there and help them paint their house. They were building a house, and that was, it's fun spending time with the members. And doing service for them, because they kind of get to see a different side of you. You get a chance to kind of relax a little bit, at least for me. And so that was fun there. Let's see. So after that, I stayed there in Cambuslang and got Elder Wilkie. So I trained Elder Wilkie. Elder Wilkie is awesome. We got along really well. He was very timid at first. You could tell that he was uncomfortable and nervous and all that I'm sure I was the exact same way. But I tried to teach him how to work hard and hopefully how to have fun while doing it. I was listening to his and it seems like I left a good impact on him. So that makes me feel good. It knows that, I was working hard and trying to help him have a good mission. We taught some of the same people, and member discussions for Margaret Crichton at that point for sure. We for some reason we made like these football helmets. We must have broke a football playing football when we were playing football one time, and then we just like cut them out, and I think I'd gotten a package from my parents or something, or he had, and they had those bottle glasses where it's the bottles at the bottom of the bottles for your lens and you can't see anything, and we had those and goofing off. I think story there's more with it, but it was kind of fun. It was fun. Oh, that's right. It was fun training. I think it helps you kind of focus, and sometimes you need that little change of momentum or change of pace, and so that was neat. I remember we were leaving let's see, Donald's house, and I remember like seeing out of the corner of my eye some people running, and I didn't really think much of it, and then and I remember getting hit in the back of the head with it wasn't a glass bottle, thank goodness. I can only imagine what would happen if it was glass. It was a hard plastic one though, and it just kind of hit me hard enough that it flew out of his hand. And then they were trying to, hey, teach me about Jesus, teach me, and for somebody who's been out for long enough, you can kind of tell when people are serious and actually want to know. And I'm like, yeah, but Elder Wilkie was, he's new. He's like, oh yeah, and so I started teaching him. And I remember at one point this big rock landed, like brushed across my foot. Some kid had thrown it at me, and I was like, all right, we're out of here. And I'm like, I hope they don't follow us. And thankfully it didn't, because where we had to go, there was, those tunnels, for those that have been in the areas where they've got the tunnels under the road. Yeah. Real skinny and usually dark and stuff. And we were walking through there. And so I'm glad they didn't follow us. I can only imagine.
It's where Harry Potter's attacked by the Death Eaters.
That's right. Yep.
For anybody who needs a reference.
That's right. Perfect. That is a perfect image. But yeah, and then let's see, I was with Wilkie for 6 weeks, and then went to the office, I believe, with Elder Drummond. So I was there. I was with him for 3 months. I think that was the rotation, because there was 2 positions that you would do. I liked Elder Drummond. I had a good time with him. The office was weird, in the sense that you do the office stuff and then you're expected to go out at night. And that change was just really hard versus you're just always out doing missionary work and always chapping doors and things like that to then have to like do the switch. And so sometimes it was hard to want to go out and knock doors. And I think it was dark. It must have been probably around wintertime, I guess, with all the areas I'd been out at that point. And so it's dark and, which is never a productive time. Office was fun though. Got to interact with a lot of the missionaries. Remember Elder Lemon, Sister Lemon, awesome couple there. And I remember the cook. Can't remember her name. Miss Sister Black, I think it was.
Sister
actually.
Black, yeah.
She was awesome, and she would. You could tease with her, and she'd just throw it right back at you. Fun time there. It's kind of weird. We would, we'd shared an apartment with the assistants there up above, kind of back behind. I think it's back behind, opposite direction of the kind of that conference room or whatever we would be in. Don't remember much about it. I remember it was either with Elder Drummond or Elder Pullen. We went out one night and we got into this house and we couldn't get out. Like they kind of wouldn't let us go. So I think it was like 10 o'clock and the assistants are like calling us and we're like trying to figure out how can we get out of here smoothly, and we got out of there. But I remember just kind of, kind of get that trap feeling. You're like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to get out of here? And I don't remember, like, I don't know if it was like this dark kind of dungy place with stuff all. I can't remember the details. I just remember that vividly, and I'm like, man, it's a little scary. I think I've had a couple of those experiences where you're kind of in there and you're trapped. I think one time, I don't remember who it was with. We got in, it was during the day. We got in there and they kind of wouldn't let us go. And so we're like, okay, we're going to ask for a drink and then we're going to book it. And so we did that, went in the kitchen and we just ran. we got out of there. Anyway, we just did a lot of office stuff. I remember people would always be concerned, did I get a package? Did I get an email? They're always asking. They wanted to know they got a package. They got a letter. It's like, no, we didn't. And I remember we'd just have boxes of stuff for when people would come for zone conferences and hand it off to them and they'd take it. That was definitely over Christmas time because I remember playing Risk with Elder Sariado. And that is the time that I grew to never want to play Risk again.
Convention in a box.
I was set up to win. Like I had everything. And then I had a bad streak of rolling. And Kofi just came right through and just took everything. And I'm a competitive person. And that was, man, having no control, man. I tell people like, nope, I will never play Risk again. Bad feelings. But that was fun, being there at Christmas time. I'm trying to remember who else was there, but anyways, I was with Elder Paul in the other 3 months there. Great guy. I love Paul. Fun. He's always a good time, right? He always made things fun. I remember we got along well, or at least I got along well with him. Hopefully I didn't rub him the wrong way or anything like that. And so after there, I went to Govan with Devin Fisher, and I remember listening to his, and he's like, I could tell that he didn't want to be there. And I could believe, I don't remember, but I could believe it because I was going back to Glasgow. I was going
Yep.
back to the Glasgow area, and of that, I was going to Govan. It's like Govan was one of the places you don't want to go, and I'm like, what is going? I think I got spoiled because I went to Stirling, and then from there, I went to Glasgow, and so and Edinburgh. I enjoyed Edinburgh. I remember that. What did we call it? The Gauntlet? I think we called it. And we would just fly through there, and people's mirrors were always missing. I don't know why people. Well, they parked there probably 'cause they had nowhere else to park. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
or you'd fly through there and just kind of, all right, let's see what I run into this time. When you run into a big truck or something, that was the best. It's like, wow, I guess I'm gonna reverse. Like, no way we're both get through there. Well, so I think it was Elder White that um, Elder White was the assistant at some point there, because I remember we were riding with him in the Silver Bullet, and he was driving, and he turned down the wrong street, and we had cars coming at us, and he like zoomed through, and then got onto a street to get off. I remember that. So it would have been Elder White that at some point was there out of my 6 months there. Let's see. So Fisher, I really enjoyed Fisher. I remember he bet me 50 pounds that I couldn't eat a spoonful of cinnamon, and I'm like, dude, I got this. And then I chomped, and it just, and I tried so hard, but I remember the rest of the day my nose was just like burning because it just explodes, right? Explodes in your mouth, goes up, and oh man, it hurt. It hurt so bad. He just laughed. He just laughed. Of course he did. He knew exactly what I was gonna do. Uh, trying to remember, Gavin there. I think Devin's goal was to try and make me laugh in situations where you shouldn't laugh. He would just say like the randomest stuff. I I I mean I can't remember exactly, but I think there was this time with him we were teaching somebody, and they weren't like they were just not paying attention. So he just started saying some random things, and I'm like trying to hold it together. He kills me, man. Yeah. But he'd do that. He'd do that to me. He's like, I'll see if I can get him to break a smile and start laughing. And then so the harder you try not to, right? The more you laugh. But let's see here. Oh yeah. I think it was. I think they're a part member family. So Mandy and Frankie, and Frankie. I mean, as a lot of the young men did there, the boys that age, they love football, and it's all they do. And I remember he would never have a shirt on. So he's probably like, I don't know, 14 or something, 13, 14. And I remember one time, I think it was Devin that did it, like slapped him on the back and left this perfect red handprint on there. But they were so awesome. And we'd go visit with them, and really, really nice people. I don't know, I can't remember if she was baptized and he wasn't, or vice versa. Um, so we get to go over there and teach them, and just get to know them, and think if there was anything else here. I think that was it for that. I might remember stuff later. So after Fisher left after 6 weeks, and I got Elder Stanley. Great guy. Remember, he's from Canada, if I remember correctly, and can't remember if it was Elder Stanley that he was Jewish, or his mom was Jewish or something. I can't remember. He's going to need to get on here and correct me if I'm completely wrong. I enjoyed serving with him, but that area was hard. I don't, you know, I kept a journal up until the office pretty much, and so that was too bad because I can't go and remember some of the stories, but
Yeah.
but I was with him for 6 weeks. Yes, and then I think that's when I went to Dundee with Clausen. So I got out of Glasgow. And I enjoyed the members and the people in Glasgow area. They were awesome people. And when going up to Dundee, it was a different place, right?
Night and day.
Yeah, and so great people up there too. So I got to serve with Clausen again, and I kind of feel like that's where our friendship really took off, was that getting to serve again with each other, and because I'd been with most companions either 6 weeks to 3 months, right? And so then I was with him, I think it was for 3 months. So we had it was fun hanging out with the zone up there. I think that's where I met you, right? You were serving in that area when I was up there. Did we cross paths before then?
We crossed paths before then, but yeah, Zach and I actually were both up there in your zone when you guys when we made the hoodies.
Yes.
With the scripture passage that you guys
Yes.
came up with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend right there.
That had to have been a Clausen idea. I can't take credit for coming up with it, but I remember yeah, I was looking at it when because I've got it, and I was reading through it again, and I'm like, oh man, I remember this stuff. I think Canucci was with was he with Devin? Yeah, he was with Devin Fisher. And let's see, we had, who was it? Now I remember the sisters. Was it McBride? Anyway, I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look at it. All the names are on there. Anyways, Dundee I love Dundee. It was a neat area. I don't remember much of, I don't remember any of my flats really, which is crazy. But yeah, I was with Clausen for 6 weeks up there, or for 3 months up there. And then I had Rasmussen for my last 3 months. Awesome guy. I love Rasmussen as well. Oh, so before that's one. So before, the Rasmussen was serving with Jason Ford when I was with Clausen, and we must have been close enough in area because we would get together sometimes, and we did we bought Jason and Rasmussen Ben and Jerry's like chocolate brownie ice cream or something, and we told them they're going to race and see who could finish it first. And I can't remember who won. I feel like it was Rasmussen that won. I think it was like 8 minutes and 23 seconds. And he burnt all of his taste buds and the roof of his mouth. Like, oh man, that was great entertainment. I was glad that I'm pretty sure they were the ones too that got the really hot kebabs, like the super hot ones. I feel like they did that too. Impossible that Clausen and I encouraged that. But and then it was with Rasmussen. I kind of vaguely remember it now. apparently, like, I did this weird like dance, chicken dance thing. I don't know what it was with dancing. Apparently I do weird dances. And I remember they made a comment. Let's see. I got to look at my notes here.
Yeah.
I think I had some. Oh, I need to go back and talk about Archibald as well. Swear I wrote it somewhere in here. Well, I might just have to remember it later. But oh, yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. That reminds me of Elder Archibald. I was in Gavin at the time. Yeah, it was in Gavin, and so we would go on exchanges with him because he spoke French. He's French Canadian, I believe.
Yeah.
And there was this family we were teaching, and they all knew French. And I remember it was such a neat experience because I had no idea what they were talking about. And sometimes he had asked me, if I wanted to say something, and he'd translate. But I just remember like feeling the Spirit a lot, not understanding, but knowing what they were talking about was true, and that was kind of a neat experience for me to see that you don't need to understand something to know something's good. We've got the Holy Ghost there to prompt us and to teach us that way. And so I remember that pretty vividly. Going on those exchanges. I think we would do it once a week. Because we teach him once a week. And awesome guy. I really enjoyed him. Really, I enjoyed all the missionaries. I wish I could have I wish I could have served with a lot more of them. I know going to zone conferences and stuff, I always look forward to a lot of it just so I could see the other missionaries.
Yeah.
And I listen to some of them I didn't get to serve with, or I didn't really get to serve around much. It's like, man, that would have been awesome to serve with them. I think that would have been cool, but kind of hard to do. Can't serve with everybody, right? So
Yeah. So
actually,
I found my picture of the passage you all constructed. So the sisters were Kenny and Roberts.
Yes, Roberts. Okay, that's okay. Yep.
And actually, it's documented in the footnotes for 4A, right, which references Ford as the Ben and Jerry's competitor loser.
There we go. You have answered. You have officially answered who won that one.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, good job on that. That's epic.
Yeah, that was fun. Let's see, Kanuchi was awesome. I got to serve around him, but I didn't get to serve with him. I had a lot of fun with him. I remember he's a body popper, he body pop dance, and I'm like, how do you do that? Well, because I can't dance, so I do weird chicken dances apparently and river dance. He's an awesome guy. I love everybody I've mentioned. I'd love to hear from. Kanuchi would be one I'd love to hear from.
Yeah, you've had, I think it's about 50-50 actually, the ones we've had on, and then we've got several to get on still. So
yeah, all of them would be awesome just to see where they're at and share stories that I don't remember. That's what's kind of awesome about this is like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and be great if they got on here, but yeah, Rasmussen was awesome. Hopefully I worked hard through the end. Hopefully I didn't slack off and make anything hard for him. I think we pushed pretty hard, and I just remember, with all of my companions, I really enjoyed serving with them. I'm sure there's stories I've forgotten that I was going to talk about, and I don't know, maybe they'll come, but
That's all right. We do ask everybody have any specific memories of the Brainses.
yes. So I'll be honest with you. I was very hesitant to. Well, when I first saw what you guys were doing, I turned to Tess and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to do this. This is not." I mean, and then after I finally agreed to do it, and then that's when I realized, oh, I got to turn a camera on. What? So whatever. But it was it was kind of, I think the first one I listened to was Clausen's, and then maybe Wilkie's. I can't remember. And then I listened to the Varenses, and that was kind of my tipping point to do this. I felt like, it's a way that I can honor them and let them know that, how much I appreciate what they did for us, with Sister Vereen, I mean, they both were just very kind and loving people. You could tell that they cared about us. I mean, Sister Vereen's, as everybody's mentioned, the Miss Piggy, cleaning your flat and things like that. With President Vereen's, there's a couple of things I remember. One that I had forgotten about until I read it in my journal is, I remember he called when I was with Elder Hare. He called because somebody had told him that Elder Hare bought alcohol for some kids. And we're like, what? Like, how? I'm like, I've been with him, unless he like snuck out when I was sleeping, and I remember we were both just like super confused about it. And the funny thing is, like, before that call had happened, I can't remember how much, like how many days before, some kids asked us to go buy some alcohol, and we're just like, yeah, right. Like, why would we do that? But that was a crazy story.
Yeah.
But I just remember, he would always like salute, right? At least for me, I assume he did it for everybody. I'd walk in and he would, kind of do his military stance. He'd click his back of his heels together, and kind of V him out a little bit, and then salute you. And people have made this comment before. It's like the famous elder or a famous sister, so and so. I genuinely thought he meant it, and I think that I thought, oh, this is just for me. And, obviously it's for everybody, as you find out as you're there. But I think the reason like I felt that way is because he meant it. Like, he really meant it, and something that's so awesome. To see somebody who cares for you so much, helped me to trust him. I remember too. I would try and get I don't know, maybe people weren't this. I always wanted to get a letter back from President, and so you always look forward to those because he usually was motivational. Maybe sometimes not motivational how we wanted it, but and I remember I had finally got a response from him, and he's like, "Hey, Elder, are things okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're good." But it was during a time, one of the lows, when you're just kind of like, "Man, am I doing a good job? Am I working hard? Am I doing what's right?" And it came at a perfect time. It's like, "Hey, you doing okay?" And I remember that. I don't know if I kept any of my letter. I don't know. I don't know where they are. Be neat to go back and read it and refresh my memory on it. But let's see. There's that. And I just remember them, like, could tell that they genuinely cared about us. And I appreciated them. I only had them for didn't have any of the other mission presidents and their wives just had the rings, which was nice. I can only imagine leaving the mission and you get a new mission president just as you're leaving. I imagine that would be kind of hard, but they're great people. I think they were what I needed at least.
Yeah.
There. And I remember you'd have interviews with him and he'd get up close, right? He was interested, he was invested. So, but yeah, great people.
Excellent. Anybody else you want to call out before we close up here?
Yes, I have been. So, I know people have been working on Elder Hout. I would love to hear from Elder Hout. I remember he's like the teddy bear, big guy, super kind. I remember having a lot of fun with him. We never served together, but I know we crossed paths, saw pictures and things like that of, playing football and all muddy and stuff. And, his big smile. I'd love to hear from him, see how he's doing. Elder Jacob Campbell would be awesome. I remember he was such a kind guy. I was appreciated seeing him when we crossed paths. It'd be great to hear from him. Elder Archambault would be great. I said Canucci already. Sorry, I do. Jason Ford, be great to hear from him. And then others that I've mentioned. And I know there's more that I'm missing. It'd be good to hear from them. Kind of nice to go down memory lane when they get on and share stories and stuff. But yeah.
Great. Yeah, this is a good recorded history, and it's really nice to hear from our brothers and sisters from that time in our lives. So right there with you. A lot of great names you mentioned, called out. We've had some of them on and would love to get the rest on for sure. So if you're listening, reach out to us. It's a S.E.M podcast at 51spylaw.com, or you can go to 51spylaw.com, fill out a form, and we'll reach out to you. But we really appreciate it. Really appreciate your time, Darren. Like you said, a bit hesitant to come on initially, but getting up the gumption and coming on, I've really enjoyed it. Enjoyed serving with and around you. And as always, want to express our love for you as a brother in Scotland, as a friend. Love you, man.
Yeah. It's been good. Appreciate all you guys are doing. I can't imagine the amount of time that you're putting into it. So least I can do is give you a little bit of my time.
Best hobby I've ever had right here. So
there you go.
It's good. It's good. And we'll let you know when this is published so you can share it out to your network, anybody you're still in contact with or on Facebook or whatnot, and family and friends as well. So we'll keep in touch.
All right, man. Thanks. Have a good one.
Good night.